Another one of these. Um, this is the vlog for May 22nd. And it wasn't a bad day, but I didn't get all the things done that I meant to do. Um, I went down to walking around the preserve this morning, and there's this weird trail that appeared one day last year, late in the summer. And I know that's going to seem strange, but you have to understand that I was, let's see here, it's a little bit better. I was walking around the preserve trails for weeks, months, really, when I noticed, well, noticed is a bit of an overstatement or understatement. I was walking up a hill and um, an entire area, it looked like a truck had come through. On my right, sweeping through and then turning up and going kind of at an angle. This is the trail I was following, and this is this new trail that appeared. So what happens is, if you follow the normal hiking trail, you actually cross this weird extra wide trail twice. And something in me today drove me to be a little adventurous. So instead of just following the trail like I normally do, I actually followed this weird trail that had appeared and climbed up and up and up and up and up to see where it went. And to give you an idea of how long ago this was, even though it feels very recent, the area which had been driven over, or at least appears to have been driven over, was now sprouting plants that were fairly large, like a foot tall. And this must have happened over the course of winter, during the fall, through winter, and now into spring. And for these plants to be this big just seems to suggest that this happened, that either these plants grow very quickly, or there's a small possibility that this truck or whatever had knocked everything down and created these extra trails, was actually just connecting to an older set of trails. I don't know, maybe used by the groundskeeping crew. But I got to the top and it just stops. I sort of figured it would connect to a paved road, or at least a more formal, dirt road that led off the property or led to a private property nearby. But it didn't. It just sort of stopped. And there was an area that was thinner, but even more overgrown, to the point where I don't think it could have been part of the trail that appeared last year. And so I sort of paused and I thought about it, and I thought, okay, I climbed up this hill, I went up this path that really shouldn't be here, for the path that serves a function I don't understand, and now I'm left with more questions than when I started. But that is sort of like, I like that. I like when you ask a question, and instead of getting an answer, you get not one more question, but many more questions. I think that is the root of curiosity, which is a very powerful thing in people. And it was enough to make me want to watch a specific movie. I don't know if I mentioned this recently. I probably did. A movie called Contact that came out back in the 90s, based on a book that Carl Sagan wrote. And the point of the book is contact with an alien life form, sort of. It's an old enough movie that I probably aren't, the whole spoiler warning, statute of limitations has probably expired. But for anybody that's coming to this, who's maybe too young to have seen this movie when it first came out, or just wasn't aware of what it was about. It's very much in the same vein as a recent movie like Arrival. In fact, Arrival seems to take a lot of notes from Contact, in that it too is about communication with alien life. Um, but it also has a sort of element of whimsy almost that you see in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is another movie cut from the same cloth. Um, and all these movies have suspense and danger in them, but they're also all sort of hopeful. A movie that sort of feels both at once more hopeful and less hopeful would be 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is probably the genesis for this particular style of film. And of the three movies, rather, of the four movies that I've just mentioned, 2001: A Space Odyssey is the only one that I haven't seen. And I think I really ought to. It's been on my list of movies to see for a long time. But, here's to questions that lead to even more questions, right? The mysteries that make life worth living and walks worth going on. Well, I'm over my limit, and it's pretty late in the day, so I need to upload this so I get it in under the hour. But I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.